bottle jumping, pump it up.
A little more, get the party going on the dance floor. See, cause that's where the party's at, and you find out if you do that.
Alright, beg you to stay. Get your booty on the floor tonight. Make my day. What's up, y'all? Hope y'all having a beautiful day today. We've got a absolutely fantastic day here in beautiful sunny Southwest Florida. Let me get the music shut off before I get copyright striked on y'all. But like I said, beautiful day today. Wanted to get into our market update. Apologies for missing last week. I'm going to get back to it. Seems like it's lagging a little bit. Hopefully not. Hopefully y'all see me all nice and smooth, but let's go ahead and get into this. So today we've had an absolutely beautiful day out. High of 74, low of 57 this morning. Super sunny all day recently. Little bit of overcast. I think tomorrow's going to be kind of a little bit rainy, windy, that kind of thing. But we've got really, really nice, cool weather going on. Let me actually show you guys the weekly report here. The weather is definitely something we like to check out fairly consistently for you guys. Just because I know a lot of y'all are up north right now. Freezing. I had someone text me the other day. It was 2 degrees up where they were at. So really, really nice down here. Today, like I said, 74 high, 57 low. Tomorrow is going to be 78 high, 58 low for the rest of the week. The max that we're going to be getting up to is 84, 85, and then right back down into the nice weather. I don't 100% know if I trust this or not. My Apple Maps said it was 82, 81 on these days, or my Apple weather, so we'll see when we get there. But definitely nice and warm, not super hot, it's not unbearable, especially a day like today. Really, really nice. I've got everything just opened up. It's gorgeous. Moving along. Let's get into the mortgage rates. So we haven't really seen the shift completely yet in the actual mortgage rate market, but they did. The Fed did drop their rate recently, 0.25%. So we should start to see that here within the next little bit. But that's definitely good news in terms of the trending direction down. Instead of, the Fed saying, hey, we're not going to make any cuts, we're going to, reverse the other way. They did a small cuts. They're, kind of indicating that they think that they're going to be continuing to do those cuts through the rest of the year at the beginning of next year. So we should continue to see that these rates continue to go down over the course of the next year like we have been. As more, as the rates go down, more buyers are going to enter the market. So this is definitely a time for those of y'all who have been paying attention, potentially looking at the rates and prices and everything, at least in my opinion. It's a really good time. We've had 2 years-ish of pullback from the 2023 crazy market. Lots of great deals to be had, lots of inventory on the market. Rates are finally starting to settle at a relatively decent rate. Just so you guys know, a lot of our partners that we work with are going to be lower than the rates that you see on our screen now. One of my mortgage brokers that I like to refer to, he's got access to over 97 different banks, I believe, and his average rate right now is in the mid to high fives, potentially even with some buy downs and credits and that kind of thing getting even lower. Moving on to the actual chart. So we like to check this every single year. This essentially is where those mortgage rates are coming from. So like I mentioned, the government recently dropped the rate at the Fed. However, this didn't actually, looking at this chart, this didn't actually signify, it didn't actually result in any selling. It looks like it's, over the couple days here, we actually ended up, oops, that's a bad line. Over the last couple days here, we actually ended up doing a little bit of an uptrend. So that's not really what we were wanting to be seeing. We really wanted to see, continue to have this go down. A lot of times though, on these kind of things, with the rate drops, the banks, the markets, they're already pre-pricing in future rate drops that are happening. So then when the new ones happen, like I said, it's already been kind of priced in. People are now taking their profits, doing that kind of thing, instead of it continuing in the direction that we think it does. But it definitely, at least in my opinion, we should for the next year or so, as long as they keep cutting rates at the Fed, we should continue to follow in this down channel. We're watching this top line, so we really, if we start to see this bump back into, over 4.25% or something like that on the 10-year yield, want to start to keep our eyes out. Maybe that signifies, rates going up a little bit, but at least at the current moment, we are trending down, which is a good sign for you buyers. Good sign for you sellers as well. Obviously, as rates go down, there's going to be more buyers that enter the market, more competition to buy your house, so it's generally good for everybody. However, it can be a little bit disadvantageous at times, just because, again, like I mentioned, the more people that are in the market, the more competition you're going to have. Last time we had rates drop crazy low in 2020, 2021, right around COVID, things were insane. It was like people were having to waive their inspections and contingencies and closing, 2 weeks cash with not checking out the house over asking price. So it was definitely crazy. So there's definitely, like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, something to be said for the current markets. We've got lots of inventory, lots of options, and rates are finally starting to settle out to a fairly affordable level. Median sales price, this week we're at $405,000. This is going to be, actually we're going to do single family homes, condos, and multifamily like we normally do. $360,000 essentially, so we're slightly down from last week, but as you guys can see over the last couple months, from July, August, September, October we had a little bit of a spike, and then November we dropped down a little bit, but we are definitely starting to work our way up on this median sales price. I'm curious to see if we're going to stay relatively in this range or if we're going to start trending up. What is indicating to me is definitely that snowbirds are here. Like we've talked about the last couple weeks, there's lots of people in those luxury, higher price points, golf access houses, pool houses, people who have maybe sold their house up north, got cash coming down, paying cash. They don't really, aren't trying to pinch every single penny. They're just, hey, I want a nice house with a pool on the water. Let's make it happen. So definitely a slightly different market right now than what we're typically used to. Just like I said, snowbirds versus the average buyer who's, struggling with their closing costs, struggling with their down payments, really, really having to make sure that everything makes sense and works. We kind of got two different markets going on right now at the moment. Closed sales, let's get into this. So we have 188 closed sales this week. That is slightly down from last week's 225. So definitely something we're going to keep an eye on over the next couple weeks. As you guys can see in the title, one of the things that I've noticed that we've been kind of talking about for the last couple weeks is the pending sales. If you look at the overall pending sales in the market, there are a ton right now. So that means that there's a bunch of listings that are marked pending inside the MLS that have not closed up to this point. Also, I'm just looking at my camera and it's got one bar, so if this dies on y'all, I'm sorry. I got a battery right here, I'll fix it. But anyways, definitely these closed sales are kind of concerning based on those pending sales that we're seeing. I'm going to show you guys that right now, but definitely the closed sales trending down, and not the new pending sales, the total pending inventory has been continuing to trend up over the last couple weeks. So this is definitely concerning to me. One thing I had discussed with my mom is potentially a possibility. Maybe we're seeing a lot of short sales on the markets. Maybe, also buyers who are able to extend the timelines a little bit. At first I was thinking, maybe potentially investors, wholesalers, those kind of things that weren't able to actually close. Maybe they were dipping out, whatever the case is. But having seen this like this since August, a short sale can take 60, 90, 120 days, even, 6 months, depending upon how willing the bank is to let something go. So that could potentially be something that we're seeing right now, which is definitely a little bit concerning. Like I said, it seems like we're kind of having two different markets right now, of the regular market, which is still inventory, deals to be made, that kind of thing. And then we're having that luxury market where still deals to be had, but there's definitely a, kind of a shift of a buyer type there. Percent of list price received. Let's check this out. This is an important one for the sellers, and also for you as buyers, just knowing what potentially you could get off of the house. So average right now is about 95% of list price received. That's going to be better if you're starting more aggressively. If you're a little bit overpriced, that's going to obviously be worse, but this shows that about a 5% discount is what you can expect in your property when you go to sell it. Percent of original price received. This was the original starting price that they started at. This isn't the listing price. Keeps track of all price drops and that kind of thing. So the original price, let's say it was $350,000, and then it dropped down to $300,000. The original price $350,000, the listing price $300,000. So about 90% of that original price. So if it was the $350,000 example, you would get a $35,000 discount there. Percent of cash sales. This is an interesting one to check out. Relatively similar that we've had the last couple weeks. So as you can see here in October, middle of October, we got a spike up to 45%. The last couple weeks have held above about 37.5% of percentage of cash sales. This kind of goes back into what I was just saying with the two different markets. These snowbirds, a lot of times they have cash. They sold a house up north. They've got the cash to just, go ahead and buy the house. Maybe they've worked their whole life. They're ready to retire, whatever the case is. But this indicates, even though it's a luxury price point and it's more expensive than the cheaper houses, a lot of these are cash. Just like I said, people, maybe they paid a mortgage up north for 30 years. They've got a big chunk of equity. They sell their house, buy cash down here, retire. But there's definitely, a pretty big portion of cash sales that take place, especially in this winter time. New listings, this is going to be a good one to check out. So this is going to be the new listings that we've had this week. 385, so we're definitely slightly down. This I would like to see continue to trend down. We definitely don't want a bunch of listings that aren't selling. So as you guys can see here, similar to last year, we're seeing this trend down right around December 7th, December 14th, which is what we're doing again this year. And as this holiday season comes, people list less and less properties. They're getting into, holiday modes. Christmas is coming, New Year's is coming, that kind of thing. And then we do see a lot of listings typically within that first week of January. Our season here is really between Halloween and Easter time. So the people who come down earlier around Halloween time, usually they'll maybe be looking from like Halloween to Thanksgiving. And then once Thanksgiving hits, they'll take a little break from Thanksgiving to Christmas, New Year's, do their holidays with their family, do that kind of thing. And then at the beginning of the year, pick their search back up. New pending sales. This is the new pending sales every single week. So this is slightly down as well. This is, not as concerning. The new pending sales, the active listings, and the new pending sales, the new listings, and the sold properties have relatively been tracking similar, which is interesting. They've all been, following this relative up and down line. So it seems like new stuff's relatively balanced, but we're having this really, really weird market right now with the pending inventory. This is strange to me. Like, this really shows that there's a lot of pending sales happening, but not necessarily all of them are closing. So what's going on here? I don't know. I think it could be definitely, like I have mentioned previous weeks, investors, wholesalers, maybe they can't actually close on the property. Maybe they're trying to get money, get funding, sell other projects, whatever. Maybe it's regular buyers who are coming from up north. They know that it's a little bit slower of a market right now. 60, 90-day timelines, home sale contingencies, those kind of things. That could potentially be another factor at play here. But also, like I mentioned, short sales is definitely a possibility too. I know last time when the market had went down, there's a lot of people who tried to sell their house. By the time they got to the closing table, they're 15, 20,000 underwater. Most people, a lot of people don't have 15, 20 to come, lose money on a house to, hey, here, take my money and sell my house. So definitely, potentially exploring short sales there. But this is the most concerning thing that I've been watching over the last couple weeks is pending inventory. The new pending inventory, the active inventory, the new listings, and the sold properties have all been relatively in sync, but a lot of these pendings are just sitting pending and not closing. So like I said, wholesalers, investors, long closing timelines, home sale contingencies, or short sales are a couple of the options as to the current state of things. Supply of inventory, let's check this out. So this is how many weeks of supply there is. So we've been sitting outside of the NAR balance range for a while. Last week we dipped slightly to 32. This week back up to 38.4. So NAR likes to see us within looks like about a 22 to 30 week range there. So we're definitely outside of that. So if you're a buyer, that means there's lots of extra inventory for you to pick from. If you're a seller, make sure that you price well, promote well, and present well so that you stand out above the competition and you're not taking 40 weeks to sit on the markets. But again, if you're a buyer, you're definitely able to take advantage of how much supply of inventory is on the markets. Again, we just checked out the pending listings. I think that's basically it. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever about any of these stats, what they mean for you in your specific scenario, whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, just curious about options, my team and I are here around the clock to help you. Leave us a comment, shoot us a DM, click the link in the description to schedule on my calendar. You can also give us a call anytime, 239-895-9383. Like I said, my team and I are here around the clock to answer any and all questions that you have whatever stage of your journey that you're in, whether you're just exploring, whether you're ready to come down next week and buy some properties, we are here around the clock to help you guys. Like I said, anything at all that you need. I'm born and raised here in the area, so whether you need information on flood zones, city assessments, price points of different things, historical market stats, locations, amenities, information on schools, things to do, whatever, I've got you taken care of. Like I said, I've been born and raised here my entire life, and my team's been hand trained on all of that knowledge as well. So hope you guys like this market update. I'm going to be sure I get back next week and be back on a normal schedule. Apologies for missing last week, but I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you're here, thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not, and I will see you guys all later in the week for our next home tours. And